Welcome to Journey Now, a podcast about following Jesus that takes on serious issues without ever taking itself too seriously. Each week, the pastors, staff, and friends of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee, gather to catch up, share life together, and laugh a little. Okay, a lot. Maybe too much. But along the way, they also explore what it really means to bring heaven to earth, share Jesus' hospitality, and live cross-shaped lives. Part Babble, part Bible, and occasionally even thoughtful and entertaining, this is Journey Now.
Welcome to the Journey Now podcast, where the production values are way over the content value.
Is that the intro that you've been thinking about?
No, but I was just thinking about how well Edwin and Grant do at a production values, and it'd be nice if the content matched.
Is that because you've had 2 Voxology episodes recorded in here, and you're feeling the
I feel the vast difference. See, there we have horrible production values, but great content.
Well, but you do have good production value in Tim Stafford.
Well, he is a production value.
He is a production value.
But let's just say Edwin is here today, and he's thrown us a curveball. Kevin, our fearless senior reverend, give him heaven or Kevin, is given the highways of America heaven or Kevin today. Wow. And my bet is he's giving him Kevin. I
can't wait to hear some of these stories.
So Kevin is driving to Denver. His wife.
He's already there.
But you don't interrupt my stories with facts, okay?
Well, you're not telling facts.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's.
I don't know. I feel this responsibility since Kevin's not here to make sure that you're telling the facts.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, does Kevin make us tell the fact? I think Kevin participates in factless. That should be that's our new
buttless and factless.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, carry on.
Well, no, what I was going to say is Kevin drove and Lori flew, and that's the key to a good marriage. That's where I was going with that. Wow. But then it's like, oh, I'm sorry.
This is strong intro.
He's already there.
Strong intro.
He's already there. It's the person that says, but actually, you tell a great story and they're like, well, but actually, and no one likes that person.
Who hurt you?
Exactly. It was love actually.
So
then it was but actually.
Back to Edwin.
Yeah. Are we killing it?
No, this whole thing.
Okay. Well, that's where I'm going next.
There's a sign on the desk.
So Kevin's not here.
Yeah.
My point.
Yeah.
And that's facts.
Yeah. We're 8 minutes in.
And there's a sign on our table.
Yeah.
Suzie, fact check.
Yeah.
What's it say?
Surprise guest.
Yes.
And it was like custom made, it looks like.
Yeah. Edwin did it. And here's what's great. We've been guessing. Anyone who walks by, we look expectantly.
Are you the surprise guest?
Yeah, are you the surprise guest?
Are you my mother?
So we're
totally yes.
But actually, so there's an empty seat, and it reminds me of Passover. Will they leave an empty seat for Elijah?
Oh.
Here, so this could be, so maybe Elijah's a special guest, John the Baptist, or maybe Jesus himself. We've been trying to get him for a book signing, but he says he doesn't know when the Father's available. Yeah. So, anywho, Edwin, is there? Are we unveiling the guest? Are we still waiting for the guest? Just do us. Wow. Okay, so we're just going to...
I feel really vulnerable.
I do too.
There's an empty chair. Yeah. All right, so just quick check-in, guys, because everyone loves the questions I ask just to check in. People love... I get emails from our dozens of listeners. So if you could have a different name, what would your name be? So when I grew up, I wanted to be Ace Patrick. That would
really?
Yes, Ace Frehley from Kiss. And then Patrick I thought was a cool name. So I wanted to be Ace Patrick. I don't know why, but that's the name I wanted. All right, Suzie, what do you got? But Suzie has multiple names already.
Yeah. Gosh, that's hard.
Helena?
Skip me. Go ahead.
All right.
Let me think.
Zahra would have been mine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's where I was going, is freaking Zahra sitting right here next to us.
Zahra Timmons. Yeah. That's what I've been going. No, I don't know if I had one. Tim Timmons was a pretty good name.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
Did you always like your name?
Yeah.
It was easy to spell. Yeah. You didn't have to learn like half the alphabet.
So true. Just say it twice.
Yeah, I wasn't literally in 2nd grade when I figured out how to spell my name.
Right.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. Not everyone goes at the same
Right.
rate.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Not everyone has every single letter in their name.
Yeah, because you're in second grade. The name you were writing was
Zahra Salar Bazadi. Actually, it was Suzie Salar Bazadi, but
Okay.
I would always have to like explain to people at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
Because they would call out roll and they'd be like Zahra.
You'd be
Yeah,
like,
but I go by Suzie.
Yeah. Unless someone messes, and then it's Zahra. Then they get
Yeah.
the
Zahra comes out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, so yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Mike
it's a lot.
Erre, cake. Oh, oh,
Oh my gosh.
oh, yes.
This is
Oh,
amazing.
ladies and gentlemen.
This is amazing.
Oh,
This is amazing.
Sweet Ellen.
Yes.
And listen, if you're not seeing this on YouTube,
I'm
Hello, everyone.
I'm
This
shellacked,
is so good.
dumbfounded,
So good.
slack-jawed.
way better than I even imagined.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
thought it was
True.
Jesus.
Edwin
Yeah.
has been so excited
Yes.
about this whole. He's been for months. He's been planning
Oh.
this. Ellen, you're going to crash the
Oh,
journey now.
yes.
So good.
Ellen.
I crashed it.
Oh, you did.
We're
good.
about done.
Yeah.
But it was a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
podcast.
So no, I mean we were just sharing our worst moral failures.
Oh my right, that's right.
And so it's your turn.
Well, I was at the Holy Post
Oh.
event, and you
Oh.
asked them to share their worst moral failures.
Yes.
you just
as well.
got you just got
I
hosed.
just got owned.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
got
only use
owned.
that once.
am not. Yeah, you can only use it once.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly
Dang
right.
it.
So
Dang
are we?
it.
Are we
Welcome.
done with the banter segment?
No, you are the banter segment.
I am the banter segment.
Okay, hold on. Let
So
me give
good.
let me give some context
Yeah.
for
Okay.
the importance of Ellen to our entire church.
And it won't even really do justice.
No.
No.
So all right, so there are different personality types, and different ways of being in the world, and some of them are delightful, and some of them are tolerable, but some of them are freaking
Preach.
amazing.
Preach.
And so in the middle of a sermon, I as the man of God preaching the anointed word.
Yeah.
And the Lord's anointed. I go up to the mountaintop, and in the middle of a sentence,
Yeah.
the temerity
Yeah. Wow.
of this
temerity.
woman. She didn't you didn't even raise your hand.
I did raise my hand.
but
I did.
think
She
you raised
raised
and
it.
And then I
at the
shouted.
same time.
Raised and then shouted. Yes.
Yes, and that
In
has
sequence.
kicked off. That has kicked off the whole question and response thing.
Yep.
that
It
now
It has
we
set
do
the culture of our
every
church.
single week.
I
She was the
told-
first one.
Well, I totally lost the fourth wall. I was sitting on the second row. Nobody was in front of me. You're
Nope.
talking just
Nope.
to me.
Yeah.
You weren't talking
Yeah,
to
yeah,
anybody
absolutely.
else.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had a question that
Yeah.
I wanted to ask.
Yeah, it was
My
incredible.
husband dug his elbow into my side. What are you thinking? I'm like, I don't know what I was
No.
thinking.
No, it's so great. It was an inappropriate question, but it was the first.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She asked, "What is your greatest moral failure?"
That's exactly
what
what
she
I
asked.
asked.
That's where it came
That's
from.
what I asked. Yeah.
But
So
I'm
set
just
the
saying, from that point,
Yes.
we became a question asking culture.
so
and it's just been the greatest gift.
Yeah.
Ellen.
Well, here's the thing. So you guys, we couldn't do it without you guys being willing to do the response part of it, right? And being willing to say, which I've heard all of you say, the answers aren't great, but at least I'm going to respond and we'll just have a dialogue about
Tim
it.
says that more than anybody.
Yeah, in every song.
Yeah.
Song isn't great, but
Yeah. But
But we're just going to put it out there. So anyway, I do love the culture that of the church. But what was interesting at the all church meeting we had recently, I don't think I was aware that not everyone is a big fan of our Q&R. In other words, some people are so freaked out about it that they turn tail and run. And I totally
because it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. But then a couple of weeks ago, some dude was there first time shouting a question from the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, so
Yeah.
I think the pluses are.
Was that your brother?
Yes.
Yes, that was my
Yes.
main question.
I was told him to be quiet, but he
Right.
didn't listen.
It's funny because when it first started, I had a couple people say to me, I don't want to hear other people talk. I just want to hear the preacher talk.
Right.
You know? And a
no
couple
one
of
says that now.
well, a couple of those people have like really turned around in their view of it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It's just been a great gift because it's so congruent with things that Journey has been pursuing and embodying for a while. But the idea that there's mutuality, that we're co-learners together,
exactly.
I just think is such a beautiful, beautiful picture. So,
Well, and it really fits with where we are in this series too, because
good Lord.
we're asked to it's okay to ask questions of what we grew up with, right? And so you said something, Mike, a couple of weeks ago about being part of a parachurch organization that played slow-mo football on the Panama City Beach.
Did you ever do that?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh,
Was
I did.
that you or was that Kevin?
That was me.
Oh, what?
Slow-mo football was me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Was it, I too was a part of a parachurch organization, and we also went to a beach, but it was Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, nice.
And I actually was the director of the evangelism project down there. It was called FLEP, Fort Lauderdale Evangelism Project.
Wow.
So this is the way we gathered a crowd. Ellen goes out
Yep. I'm already in. I'm already.
on the
I'm
beach.
saved right now.
Exactly. And I stand in front of a huge crowd of kids that are sunbathing.
Yeah.
And I start singing, "What's Love Got to Do with It?"
Oh my God.
Turner.
Yes.
Ellen.
Can you do that right now?
Yeah.
Oh, what's love got to do?
Amazing.
Got to do with it?
Come on. Come on.
What's love but
Oh,
a second-hand emotion?
Oh!
Did you bait and switch at that point?
No, I
Didn't have to.
I
Wasn't-
followed
I just accepted Jesus again.
again. Exactly. Don't follow it up with a little 5-minute, sermonette about who Jesus was, and I was yelling it at the top of my lungs.
Yes.
And what's interesting
Yes.
about a
Did you about say an F word right there?
No.
That looks like an F was coming.
No. What's interesting about a woman doing beach evangelism
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
is I don't necessarily sound angry when I'm trying to yell over the wind.
True.
Whereas men do.
Yeah.
They kind of sound angry.
Yeah.
So I had that going for me. And then all of a sudden, all my peeps, were behind the crowd of sunbathers and scooting in and trying to engage in conversations, right?
Wow.
But I just look back
That's
at that
amazing.
and do a little bit of a cringe because what were we thinking that God would indeed come down and we just had to share these 4 spiritual laws and people would come to Christ? Did that happen? Maybe. Maybe a couple of times it did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't I don't think it's the main mode of sharing Christ, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays. I've taught evangelism. I've done evangelism for a while.
You sang evangelism.
I sang
Right.
evangelistically. That's the adjective. And for a while, it was like, we even had a refrain in our parachurch ministry that we were part of was each one reach one. So,
I like
it
that.
even was
Yeah.
a mantra to follow.
I have that relation with pizza. Go ahead.
I have the each one reach two relationship with pizza.
Each
So,
one eat one.
Each one eat one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. So
I love that. So yeah, we've been exploring, and granted, I mean, all the disclaimers. This wasn't malicious. This was done out of heart and love and the
Yes.
passion. And hallelujah. But I think those sorts of events and that approach eclipsed kind of what the New Testament vision for evangelism kind of turns out to be, which is not this awkward bait and switch sort of manipulations thing. And again, not. I'm not speaking against anybody who does this, but like we were talking about, it's not. The issue isn't that we're sharing Jesus. The issue is what Jesus are we sharing by the methods that we use.
Exactly.
And yeah, go ahead.
Well, because I was going to say, I think I shared with these guys before. I went recently to a event put on by a parachurch organization that is probably, I don't know, one of the ones that we've all been talking about. Okay. But it's interesting because I got to talk with some of the people there, and they're really trying to still do what they feel called to do, but change their methods a little bit and adjust to what is needed based on the generation that they're trying to reach is very different than what that generation was, 20 years ago. But it's so interesting because they get so much pushback when they try to adjust something,
Totally.
And even this particular organization has chosen to be inclusive of sexual minorities in the sense of there's no point in alienating them. Let's just include them, invite them, show them some hospitality. And let God do whatever God's going to do in their lives. And that has received so much pushback. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking about other things that we've done over the years as Christians. Like, do you remember back in the early 90s when Amy Grant and Sandy Patty both got divorced?
What?
Yeah.
And radio dropped them like a hot potato.
Yeah.
Really?
I felt so embarrassed for them. I was like so mad for them that their livelihood was impacted because somebody decided, oh, we can't have divorcees music.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep, not even know the whole story.
And not even know the whole story.
Oh, wow.
So it's just we have kind of perpetuated these ideals that really nobody's really we're no better. And that's what you guys have been saying from up front. It's just like we're the number one sinner. So if we can see that, then we can move into relationships with people and just love on them.
Well, yeah. So your husband wrote us a long email, and that's what about you, and that's what prompted the whole Bad Religion series.
Yeah, I'll get it out.
Oh my word, you guys!
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an expose.
Wow.
And every word of it's true.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true.
I used to sing "I Want a New Drug" by Huey Lewis in the News.
Right.
I did not.
Okay.
I was just.
So last night we were watching The Voice with my kids.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about it. And there was a commercial that came on. It's the relative of a big evangelist that has been around.
Yeah.
And this guy gave the same message of hell and all the sin that you have in your life, and Jesus is here. I mean, just gave that whole the whole thing.
Yeah.
Basically the 4 spiritual laws.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there going, gosh, what an interesting thing during The Voice to have this on there. And the story is just so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just so clear last night watching this minute-long evangelistic message to a group of people that are like...
Yeah.
Really?
And the messenger has been compromised.
So his opening line was,
this was a commercial that the network ran. It has nothing to do with the actual Voice TV show.
No.
Okay.
It was just a commercial.
Yeah.
It was the voice of Jesus.
But the intro of it was, there's so much hate in America. And I was like,
really?
From you,
You
man.
know?
Exactly.
Kicking everybody down to the ground. It was
Yeah.
I was so sad, and like
Yeah.
it hurt me so bad to then turn around and be about this love and then hate.
He doesn't
and sin
get us.
Yeah. Anyways,
billboard.
it was a perfect example of what used to work.
Right.
Right.
And partly I'm curious why.
Did it though?
Yeah, I think it totally did. Like my mom, I am a follower of Jesus because of that guy's dad's ministry.
Yeah, my mother-in-law too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
She
my
was
mom went
part of that.
down
Yeah.
and did the whole thing.
Just as I am.
Yeah, just and it really, my mom really met Jesus and is one of the more beautiful Jesus people I know.
Yeah.
And it was through this thing. So why did that work so well? And now it's like, what's happening?
I feel like
So
his
deaf.
dad had a different vibe though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Well, there was an interesting article in the Atlantic that talked about the death of monoculture. So 1950s American culture was monolithic, and you could appeal to cultural assumptions and principles and values that were most often shared by the people you were preaching to. He actually was arguing that what we have today is just a series of cults stacked on top of each other. Everything is cultish. So because the tribalism and polarization cause you to more solidly declare allegiance to things than you ever had to before. So it's just cults upon cults upon cults.
Can you give a few examples of cults?
Pickleball.
Let's not.
I mean, he's not
be
using
careful.
cult in the religious sense, but he's just saying that's a tribal affiliation.
Right.
Yeah.
And your
It's true.
adherents.
Anybody that listens to you guys talk on Tuesday mornings would know that
We are
it's
not
very
evangelists for
tribal.
pickleball,
But you're very tribal. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's just put it this way. There are those that are in, and then those that are not.
It's a very bounded set.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So here's my question. What's the difference between what you just described and pluralism? Like pluralism is not necessarily bad, right?
Right.
But but it's evidently that definition has now been taken over by this. Oh, it's not pluralistic culture; it's cults.
Pluralism is based on a respect for differing views.
Okay,
that's not what is in existence today.
Okay,
would that be the actual definition of pluralism?
That would be assumed in the definition of pluralism.
Like when you say you live in a pluralistic society, it means that there is perhaps freedom of religion, but multiple religions, and we all respect each other and can coexist together, which also gets a bad
the reason he uses the cult word is that there's a fundamentalism now attached to adherence to political parties, there's just and even the definition of what it looks like to be victorious has changed from seeing my party win to now victory is just seeing the other party lose.
Right.
The tears of the libs or the tears of the Republicans or whatever. And so that's a great question, because pluralism assumes that you can have respectful dialogue, critique, and that's still true of a lot of us. But the cult idea is it's all scarcity. You're fighting you're fighting each other for market share and influence. And Christianity, in its worst and basest expressions, has just become another one of those. We're just power grabbing because we've got an agenda that we think is God authenticated. And so when we talk about what's changed from the 1950s or 60s, that whole thing. But even I was thinking about this when you were talking about, Suzie, the parachurch organization that's rethinking their approach. It's still the same understanding of what evangelism is. It's just a new wineskin.
Right.
And we want to say, I don't think the wineskin is the thing that's sanctioned here. Like,
the actual wine has turned to vinegar.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways. And hallelujah, I think the people of Jesus should be talking about Jesus in the most organic, natural, just true to their story kinds of ways. But it's not an organized, systemic thing. In the New Testament and in the first 2 centuries of the church, it was the communal witness that was the point, not the individual witness. And that's the part, because we can't individually overcome the communal garbage of the Christian church in America. So my thing is, hey, let's tweak our approaches. But if the church is still producing garbage, it just doesn't matter. We're just digging culturally, we're digging holes that great Jesus words can't get out of. You know what I mean?
Which is like historically what has happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. None of this is new.
Crusades, colonization, slavery, like all of those things. And so, I don't know. I think a lot about the way we are treating people who don't believe like us and agree with us and all that, and the things that we're even taking away in the name of Jesus, and which to us feels like the right thing to do.
Example?
Okay, I'll go with abortion. So I'm not saying I'm pro-abortion. Let's just have that disclaimer out there. But for Christians, we believe in the sanctity of human life from hopefully from cradle to grave, whatever. But like for other people who don't believe the same way as us, they see it as a human right, as healthcare and things like that. And so we're leading with that removal of that rather than providing, the better, more accessible alternatives to that. And so to the person who is experiencing us in that way, I'm not going to say it's similar to the Crusades and slavery, because those are their own things, but like it's a modern day kind of version of dehumanizing people with power. And the bottom line of what I'm saying is, I don't think that leads people to Christ. Right. If that's the goal, if the goal is for us to lead people to Christ and to invite them in to be part of the kingdom of Jesus, I don't think that is doing it.
Right.
So maybe for a few people, like, but I just don't think overall, our witness is not what I think it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So
the power of the state can't transform hearts.
Yeah.
And so when we just forsake the real, practical, down to earth love of neighbor for check marking an issue, and think we've done our Christian duty. I mean, that's the trap we're in.
Yeah, because now, like, I mean, going with that same issue, there's, first of all, the rates are higher than they were before whenever we do stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you're now hearing stories of people dying in emergency rooms because they're not, like, they have a dead baby inside them and they're getting sepsis and dying. And so, like, I actually heard somebody tell me the other day that a mutual friend of ours lives in a different state and they want to move back here because this is where their community is. This is where they enjoy living, but they're trying to have a baby and they have infertility issues. And so with infertility issues comes IVF, comes potential difficulties in pregnancies, potential miscarriages and all those things. And they're afraid that if they come here with those issues, that their health care would put their lives in danger. So it's like, there's so many like nuanced things like that, but what we're perceived as in that sense is that we're not really being pro-life in the effort to be pro-life. And so I don't think it's leading people to Christ.
Right. And no, I think there's, and I really want to tease out why, because it's two different powers. Right. So the Christian account of power is, hey, there's just power. And power is getting someone to do what you want them to do despite resistance. That's just the naked definition of what power is. We call that power over. And the Christian account in America has been, let's put that power in the hands of good people or good cultures. The problem is there's an entirely different power in the Bible that is at work, and it's the power of, one scholar calls it power with, another scholar calls it power under, but it's the idea of we're cooperating with other image bearers in the participation of the kingdom. And so power over is coercion, manipulation. Power over can also be expertise. I go to a mechanic and I have no idea. So they have power over, right? A surgeon. Some pastors present themselves this way too. I've got the, that's why I was making fun of earlier. So power over is a real thing. The church, though, in America at least, has forsaken this power with, which is the power of weakness, the power of confession, the power of truth-telling, power of lament, the power of reconciliation, of foot washing, of baptism, like all these other expressions of power. And it's there in the text that God actually expresses his power. It's in human weakness his power is made perfect. And so by grabbing the power over of law and the power of the state to coerce, we're forsaking the power under that actually transforms the human heart. And in that way, we actually push people farther from God. Because the counter to this will be, listen, we're not trying to save people, we're trying to save babies. Like there's the wholesale slaughter of infants that God is opposed to. And so shouldn't we do everything, including the power of the state, to save the lives of babies? Absolutely. Our counter would be, we actually do a better job saving the lives of babies by not coercing people. And then secondly, the purposes of God are never accomplished through power over, ever. Jesus, his whole ministry, and Paul forsook power over at every single opportunity they had. So it's not just that that the world sees us as bad. It's that when the church engages in power over, we get deformed. And that's some of the fruit that we're seeing. You know, I mean, when Roe v. Wade was struck down, I had this very mixed feeling. It was like, on the one hand, I am utterly and absolutely pro-life, but I'm pro all life. I care about the moms and the dads and the babies and the immigrants and the death row inmates. So it's a one big package for me. But the other thing was, at what cost comes that sort of victory? You know what I mean? And I think those are legit questions, even if you say, yep, saving the life of the baby is the most important thing. So anyway, I do think that issue, and I'm so glad you brought it up, Suzie, that issue embodies the difference of approach between how the Christian imagination that's been formed by the political process versus the Christian imagination that sees that power over has no place in the way that we do power. So like even the way churches organize. I mean, Tim and I've been the CEO of a church of 120 employees, $7 million budget, buildings, 20 acres of land. And it is very much a power over scenario. And that's why it's so corrupting.
Yeah.
I had a parking space. I had my own bathroom in my office with a shower.
Yeah.
That was the greatest thing in the history of the world. But it was all like to remind me about how important and I couldn't handle that so quickly turns into entitlement.
Yeah.
And so the issue that we want to keep kind of pounding on in terms of bad religion is that the Christian moral imagination, at least in my tribe, has been thoroughly corrupted by the idea that we can wield worldly power safely and for the purposes of God. And I just think that needs to be repudiated in the church. That's why I love the way we organize our church. That's why I'm a part of this church. I love that people don't always know who does what or who's in charge or what the thing is. I love that because we want to be people that resist hierarchy everywhere. And the reason is we get corrupted otherwise, inevitably. There's not been one cultural example that you can point to where the church has wielded power over, and that's been a good thing for both church and world.
Right.
There's not one example.
Would you Holocaust? Is there any, fighting against trying to go power over?
Power over the Nazis?
Yeah. With the church kind of coming in and having resistance and...
You mean the German church?
No. The German church.
Like Dietrich?
Yeah.
Sweet Dietrich?
Yeah.
He was in the minority, though, wasn't he?
Oh,
I mean, the
very.
German
I'm just saying
church
that
was
it was an attempt to overthrow. I'm just, I'm poking holes.
Yeah. No. So Paul will even say in Romans 13, listen, power over can only preserve life. It can never redeem. So power over has to stay in its lane. The Christian church thinks we can use power over to redeem culture. And that's the difference. No, there are times when force is necessary. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And hallelujah for our service members and police department, first responders, and the ordinary heroism of people that help. Absolutely.
Saves lives.
But let's not say that that's godly power.
Right.
Let's not say that that's the role of the church in the world. Let's say that's the lesser of two evils. And at times it's necessary, but it's never good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the distinction for me, is of course there are times, if somebody was coming into my house or someone came into our church, like of course we would use force to restrain.
Yeah.
But there is a difference between force and violence. Like I was a chaplain, I've told this story a lot, in a police department, and it was a huge gang area, and I would find myself in the middle of riots and fights where my officers were getting attacked, and I would use force, but I would never hit. I would tackle, I would restrain, I would yell, but I would never seek to harm. But whatever it took to help, I would do, but there was no joy in it. I did not think that was my Christian duty.
Wasn't a redeeming thing, as you were saying.
I'm just preserving life. And
so let me ask a question.
Yes.
I think
we're about done.
Oh my word! One question, please. I don't.
This is Ellen. This is Ellen right here.
I've got my hand up. I've got my hand up. You mentioned something about wanting to use power over safely, or maybe that's what people are attempting to do. The word safely has triggered me to think, why is it that Christians are so enamored of being safe? Like, why is that a huge priority? Because I'm not sure that we're promised safety in the Bible as being believers, right? Totally. So how would you speak to that? Like, how should we think about what it's like to engage our world in all of its ugliness? Do we have the right to bounce in there and say, I am going to use my power over because I want to keep my family safe?
Oh, wow.
Did that make sense?
Yes.
So good.
You literally got the Ellen experience.
Yeah.
Dozens of journey listeners. Just got this.
Fantastic.
This is fantastic. And Edwin, the booker, of the surprise gift. Yeah. There's just so many shout outs.
He's just over there eating a tangerine.
He is eating a tangerine. He's smiling.
Yeah, just like, look
every
what I did.
time Ellen opens
He's got his wife Caitlin on the board.
I did this.
He's got Caitlin on the board.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love it.
I didn't want to.
right now.
Do you remember my
I feel like
question
this
about
might be an
masculinity?
example of power over being wielded for good.
Totally.
This
could be.
Yeah, this was it. This was it. Okay. You guys want to speak to this?
Go. I'll jump in.
Okay. I forgot the question.
Well, it's more about do we have the right as
safety.
Christians to say that we have that safety is the most important issue?
Okay. That's fantastic.
From the airwaves, from books, we're going to ban books, we're going to we're going to kick Amy Grant off the air because she's divorced, and that might
Safe for the whole family.
That might safe for the whole family.
Whoa. Shots fired.
Brad, that is the slogan of a Christian radio, national Christian radio
program.
Yes, safe for the whole family. Okay, man, that's so good. First of all, let's define what safe is, because in one sense, followers of Jesus are perfectly safe in God's good world. Correct. No one can snatch them out of my hand.
Exactly.
Right? According to Jesus. On the other hand, Jesus keeps saying, hey, in this life you'll have trouble, prepare for persecution. The poster boy of Jesus following Paul, I've been beaten more times, shipwrecked. I mean, there's utterly no way you could ever come to the conclusion that following
Poster
Jesus
boy.
is safe. There's just nothing. What Americans have done, and this is where we've turned the gospel into something that only concerns our souls. What Americans have done is said our souls can be rescued while we pursue safety on earth, right? So because I can consume and I can invest and hoard and protect and live in gated things, and I can do all the things as long as my vertical soul is fine, I'm safe.
Because I just have to survive this world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to burn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not.
Body's going to burn.
We're in the world, not of the world.
Yes.
Right.
It doesn't belong to us.
In its worst form, it's why would you invest in this thing? We're going to get evacuated out of here. So let's not mess with it.
Because I've read Genesis 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah.
That's why
I
care about this world.
Exactly. Yes. So that's part of it is Americans, our best-selling books are all about how to be more blessed. We're the most blessed nation in the history of the world. We're the most blessed church in the history of the world, and we want to read about how to be more blessed. And our sermons are all TED Talks about how to experience more of God's blessing.
Exactly.
And our national anthem is praying for God's blessing.
Yes, the whole thing gets wrapped together in this beautiful bow. And I fall into it too. I absolutely imbibe this Kool-Aid, and when suffering happens, I immediately think something's wrong.
Right.
As opposed to, nope, this is actually the normal. And so wrapped into Jesus following should be what it means to take up your cross. At least one of the things is that you are laying down your right to life. Now, expending my life and using force to protect others is one thing. Expending my life and using force to protect myself, that's a different thing.
Right.
So I would like to think that if I had a choice between dying for my faith or for somebody or using violence to protect myself, where I was the only one at risk, I would rather lay my life down. Now, I don't know if I would do that or not, but in my brain, I distinguish between the duty I would have in an obligation to protect others if I were in that situation versus the obligation to return evil for evil done to me.
Yeah, but she's talking about people wanting to protect like their kids, their community, right?
Yeah. That's my decision. So I don't think using power over ever is our duty, or it's ever like something God says, yep, that's exactly what my will is for human life. But yes, if again, man, it's so much hangs on safety. If I'm expending loads and loads of money so that I don't have to have the concerns of the world at my front door, I would say that's an issue. That's a problem. If my family is directly threatened, would I absolutely step into that situation and want to wield whatever power was necessary to preserve my family's life? Absolutely. But I would not, again, I don't call that Christian. I don't call that Christian. The only thing I call Christian is the cruciform power that is unleashed when we assume our place, as Jesus did, giving up our rights and prerogatives for the sake of self-expenditure. Does that make sense?
So if you don't call it Christian, what do you call that?
Giving my...
Yeah.
I call that the lesser of two evils. I call that evil. I call that that's not God's will. That's something I would feel bad about. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's not something I want to pursue or ever.
So is there a healthy form of safety?
Sure.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, what I want to know is like, and this may be helpful for that, is like, where does stewardship fall into that? Like, what's the difference between stewarding something and
hoarding and protecting it?
Yeah.
Boy, I wish I had a good answer other than the heart will always, the heart's at issue.
Yeah.
Am I using the thing or is the thing using me? Do I own the thing or does the thing own me? And the way you'll know is your energy, time, anger, and money. Whenever my idols get threatened, I get angry. So I try to trace what I get angry at.
Oh shoot! Okay, that's enough time.
That's the time.
Yeah, it's. Oh my gosh, that's so
tracing
dirty.
my anger.
That's so dirty.
I know.
That's like a bad pickleball shot right there.
So tracing my anger will always tell me what I'm protecting in a very unhealthy way.
Yeah.
Idolizing. Coming.
Exactly. But yeah,
I'm gonna need
there's
more
so many
journal pages
nuances.
for that one.
There's so many nuances to this, and we can't speak to all of them. It is literally an issue of the heart. I'm just saying corporately. In the corporate, communal imagination of the American church, there should never be the temptation to say that redemptive end can be accomplished through legislation, power over, violence, insulting, demonization, labeling. Like, that should all just be refused. Are there exceptions where, to preserve life, we engage in the behaviors that characterize the powers and principalities? Yeah, but that's not something we ever feel good about or we think is sanctioned by God. We do think that because of the reality of human sin, that there are times when we have to engage in a restraining behavior to preserve life. Absolutely. So, and it's super sticky because we did Ellen referred to a Holy Post event, which is a podcast in the Christian space. There was a guy named David French there who served in Iraq and has a really compelling story about how he very much believes in just war and the redemptive use of violence. And I'm not sure I'm there with him in all of that, but I've never been in the situation he's been in.
Right.
And so easy for me to say, as I live under the umbrella of the freedom that people like him have provided, easy for me to take shots at it.
Yeah.
So I want to be super careful
Right.
to say, I don't know how it would react in different scenarios. I just know that as far as my tribe goes, our imagination has been stifled about in culture war terms to think that somehow the purposes of God in the country get accomplished through the exercise of political power or even the threat of violence. I mean, there's a lot of threats of violence being given sanction in Christian circles around the upcoming election.
Yeah.
We're just not going to accept the results of it. Patriots, we need to prepare. And man, that is the most insidious of blasphemies. That somehow, if we had power, life would be good. Life would be better.
Yeah.
It's Boromir in the Ring.
Bro, it totally is.
Like a good man, everybody gets corrupted.
Yeah.
That's why
Lord of the Rings is the most intelligent Christian discussion of power I've ever seen or read, because everyone has their temptation moment. And the wise Gandalf, Galadriel, they all realize that they can't touch it.
Yep.
It's not that the
Strider.
ring could ever be used for good. It's that it will corrupt everything it touches.
Yeah.
And that is what worldly power does.
Yeah.
That's why Jesus, he even said to Pilate, listen, I could call down loads of angels, but I don't. Or in another instance, he said, if my kingdom is from another place, if it were from here, my followers would fight. right?
Yeah.
And so he looks at directly at his followers, and he says that the Gentiles lord their authority and power over those under them. Not so with you. Period.
Shoot.
So we have to be a community that actively resists the lure of using worldly power because we think we're safe with it, or we have character that can withstand it, or we have a church culture that's strong enough. It's just not how it works.
Good
Ellen,
stuff,
look at
man.
what you got us
Wow.
Good stuff.
Ellen, you should come back.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's what I guess.
seriously. Let me just say, I liked the feminine energy matching the masculine energy. Suzie, God bless Suzie.
Yeah.
I know. How does she do
she's
it?
a legend.
She's got well.
Well, she's got 4 boys at home.
Yes, exactly.
So what exhausts
5
her?
really.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you count a bit of Steve,
He's a man.
Yeah.
he is a man.
Yeah.
And he's wonderful.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you come from an environment,
A lot of testosterone.
right?
Yeah.
So you're not, and you have Zahra.
She can wield Zahra at any point.
At any point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've ever, like, there are times on the podcast, if you watch on YouTube, where you will get a Zahra face, and we cower. It's like the Eye of
Zahra
Zahra.
face.
Eye of Zahra.
Yes,
Wow.
the Eye of Zahra. It's like, I'm sorry.
Is that her?
But you do.
Well-
But you do. You look at us and say, how are you? And it's like, you see everything.
Yeah. So is that hers? Is Kevin or Heaven?
Kevin or Heaven.
Tom Tommins.
Tom Tommins. Mega Church
Mike.
Mike.
Picture Mike and
then
Eye of Zahra.
Eye of Zahra. Oh, I
don't
like
know.
that. For good or ill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you hug people with those eyes too. And then there are other times you bore right through them.
Well, these eyes are now going to staff meetings.
Oh my God.
Thank you for being with us.
Inviting me. So fun. Thank
Genius.
Gosh,
Thank you.
anytime.
You. Oh man, I appreciate it.
Any
Preach.
What do you do?
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, what do you do on Tuesday mornings?
Well, I'm usually at work, but I'm slacking off today.
So good.
Headed to work now. Yeah. But thank you so much.
Does it bother you that this is our work?
I'm jealous a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a wee bit.
I don't want people to know how much fun.
No, you should not let it out.
No.
But I think cat out bag.
Cow out bag.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, guys,
Yep.
let's go do our push-ups.
Yeah.
It's push-up time now.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Edwin.
Do I?
No. It's just
okay,
what we
okay.
do as in our job. We go do push-ups now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then we do spiritual push-ups.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Praying reps.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Heavy load.
What else?
Yeah. What else you got? Then we jump rope.
Spiritual rope.
Yes, it's spiritual rope that we're jumping, and then we swim in the waters of the Spirit.
Yes. Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. That's kind of Tina Turner-ish.
Yeah, dude,
No?
totally. I just literally watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Oh, Tina Turner starred in that
Yeah.
movie, and
When I dated her, she never wanted to do that role.
I know,
man.
right? It's such a bummer. I know. Who's the
See you
celebrity?
guys later.
Who's the celebrity you would want to date?
That's the ender?
Ellen, who's the celebrity you would want to date?
Oh, I've thought about this.
I love that.
Yeah. So Lenny Kravitz,
Oh,
right?
dude.
Lenny Kravitz. And,
Yeah.
And I can't remember
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey Now. If for some bizarre reason you liked it, help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing it on your socials. Journey Now is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III produces the show and fixes all the guest slurping, gum chewing, coughing, and other annoying sounds. Randy Hansen provides technical assistance, even though he denies it. Grant Opperman edits Journey Now and intervenes when necessary to tell the crew that you can't say that. Special shout out to dear listener Brad Erie and dear YouTube watcher Seth Erie. If there's anyone else who makes it through each week, we're so sorry, and thanks to you too.